So you sent us some fascinating stuff from this company, Miticom,
Yeah.
and it's got us thinking about the communication challenges for non-native English speakers in business.
Right, and especially those in leadership roles on a global stage.
Right.
And it's interesting because what really stood out to me is that Miticom isn't focused on like basic English language learning.
Yeah.
They're working with people, in pretty serious global businesses,
Right.
like CEOs, board members, high-level managers,
Yeah.
people who you would think already have a pretty strong command of English.
Exactly. And that's what we want to dive into because it's not about just, being able to order a coffee or, give a basic presentation.
Right.
These are professionals with a really high level of technical English proficiency.
Yeah.
They can write complex reports. They can participate in, in-depth discussions.
Uh-huh.
But there's this gap that Miticom is addressing, and that's what's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like they're missing that final piece to really achieve that natural, almost native-like fluency, where they can truly connect and communicate their ideas with the right impact and nuance. It's like even though they have the technical understanding, something's preventing them from communicating with ease and really connecting authentically.
It is. And that's what Miticom is getting at with these really key questions that they pose to these professionals.
Yeah.
They ask things like, you know, do you ever feel like when you speak English, what you say isn't exactly what you mean?
Right.
Or do you feel like you're translating in your head instead of actually communicating a direct thought or a feeling?
Yeah.
And this one really struck me. Do you feel like you're not always connecting with people on the level that you want to?
Right.
I mean, these are crucial questions for anyone operating in a global business world these days.
Absolutely. And, Media Mpoma, who's the founder of Miticom,
Yeah.
she really hits the nail on the head with this quote. She says, "The bedrock of a great business is based on human capital.
Okay.
And that capital is built on human relationships. And human relationships depend on genuine, effective communication."
It makes you think about all the strategic planning and all the, all the innovative ideas companies come up with.
Yeah.
But none of it really matters if people can't actually connect and communicate effectively.
Right. It all comes down to those genuine
Yeah.
connections and communication.
Absolutely. And this is where the whole idea of technical English versus truly impactful communication comes in.
Yeah.
It's kind of like knowing all the ingredients for a recipe
Right.
versus actually being able to cook a delicious meal.
Exactly. You might know all the grammar rules and have a huge vocabulary.
Yeah.
But if you can't actually articulate your ideas in a way that resonates with people,
Right.
then it's not really serving its purpose.
It's like a musician who's mastered all the technical skills of playing their instrument.
Uh-huh.
They can hit all the right notes,
Right.
but there's no emotion in their playing.
Yeah.
It doesn't move you.
Exactly. And in a business context, that lack of resonance in communication,
Yeah.
it can really impact your ability to lead and persuade and build those strong relationships that are so crucial.
Absolutely. And this ties into the concept of the triple bottom line,
Right.
which is people, profit, and planet.
Yeah.
Miticom argues that for businesses that are truly committed to corporate social responsibility, highly effective communication in English is absolutely essential.
Yeah. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
It's not.
It's about being able to clearly communicate those values,
Yeah.
inspire stakeholders, and build trust around their commitments to, these broader societal goals.
Exactly. A company might have the best intentions when it comes to, sustainability or ethical practices.
Yeah.
But if they can't communicate that effectively to their employees, to their customers, to the community, it's all for nothing.
It's like they're not walking the walk.
Right. It's just lip service.
Exactly. And when you think about leadership, the stakes become even higher
Oh, absolutely.
because, leaders at the executive level or those who are aspiring to be there, they essentially set the tone for communication throughout the entire organization.
Right.
So if they can communicate confidently with impact and presence in English, which is often the main language of global business,
Yeah.
it creates this ripple effect.
It does.
That benefits everyone.
Right, because leadership isn't just about having brilliant strategies.
Right.
It's about being able to communicate those strategies in a way that inspires action.
Yeah,
to get everyone on board and working towards a common goal.
exactly.
Yeah.
And if leaders are struggling to communicate their vision effectively in English,
Yeah.
it can create these roadblocks,
Yeah. Yeah.
erode confidence and ultimately undermine their effectiveness.
Absolutely, no matter how brilliant their ideas might be.
Right. And this brings us to a really crucial point that Miticom makes in their guide titled, Why Language Skills Are Not Enough.
Yes.
What's the main takeaway there?
Well, it basically boils down to this in today's world, this incredibly interconnected world. Having a good grasp of English grammar and vocabulary is really just the starting point. It's
Mm,
not enough to truly excel, especially in leadership roles that require influence and connection.
yeah.
You need to combine those language skills with sophisticated communication techniques
Hmm.
and a deep understanding of cultural nuances.
Okay, so it's about moving beyond just knowing the words
Right.
to understanding how to use them effectively in a variety of situations.
Exactly. It's not just what you say, but how you say it and who you're saying it to.
Right, and this is why Miticom positions itself not just as a language school,
Yes.
but as a communication and influence training company
Yeah.
that also helps people who need to improve their English language skills.
Yes, it's a very deliberate distinction.
Yeah.
Their goal is to help people communicate with their natural feeling and emotion in English.
So it's more about bridging that gap we talked about earlier,
Right.
enabling professionals to express themselves authentically
Ex-
and connect with others on a deeper, more human level, even when they're speaking a second language.
It's about helping them find their voice in English.
So how does Miticom approach this?
Yeah.
What are the key principles that underpin their method?
They focus on three main elements.
Okay.
The first is combining targeted English language learning with communication skills training.
Right, so it's not enough to just learn language in a vacuum,
Exactly. You need to learn how to use it in real-world situations.
like giving presentations,
Yeah.
negotiating deals,
Right.
leading meetings.
Exactly, and having those difficult conversations, all those things.
Makes sense.
The second element is understanding the cultural context of the English language.
Okay, so it's recognizing that language isn't just a set of rules.
Right. It's deeply embedded in culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, understanding British communication styles
Okay.
or levels of formality, even nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
These can all have a huge impact on how your message is received.
Right, like being direct can be seen as positive in some cultures, but rude in others.
Exactly. And Miticom helps people navigate those nuances.
And the third element.
The third element is having a solid understanding of business change.
Okay.
So this means that their training is tailored to the demands of the modern business world.
So things like mergers,
Yes.
acquisitions, restructuring.
Exactly. All those situations where clear and empathetic communication is so important.
It's about being able to adapt your communication style to the specific situation.
Right.
And it all goes back to what we were saying before about it being more than just translating words.
Right.
Miticom really emphasizes learning to communicate effectively in English.
Yeah.
They talk about speaking with confidence, impact, and presence, and with soul.
I love that phrase, and with soul.
Me too. It's not something you hear very often in a business context.
No, but it really gets to the heart of what they're trying to achieve.
It's about authentic communication.
Yes.
Not just conveying information correctly, but allowing your personality and your passion to shine through.
It's about connecting with people on a human level, regardless of the language you're speaking.
Exactly. And to help bridge that cultural gap, Miticom even offers cultural tours
Oh, yeah.
to provide firsthand experience of British culture.
I think that's so valuable.
Me too.
Yeah.
How do you think that translates into benefits in a business setting?
Well, by immersing themselves in British customs and etiquette,
Yeah.
professionals can develop a deeper understanding of how to interact effectively with their British colleagues and clients.
Right, like understanding the importance of politeness or the nuances of humor in British business interaction.
Exactly. Those little things can make a big difference in building rapport and trust.
Absolutely. So when you put all these elements together, the language skills, the communication training, the cultural understanding,
Yeah.
what are the tangible outcomes that Miticom is aiming for?
Ultimately, it's about empowering individuals to build meaningful relationships, which in turn leads to enhanced performance, better collaboration, and sustainable growth for the company.
So it's about more than just improving individual communication skills.
Yes, it's about creating a more effective and harmonious workplace overall.
And we actually have a great testimonial from Laurent Crozet, who's the head of maintenance services at Irelier Management in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
And he specifically praises Miti Ampoma for helping him elevate his language skills.
Right.
He talks about feeling much more confident when speaking English,
That's great.
having a richer vocabulary,
Mm.
and being able to use more appropriate and impactful expressions.
That's a real testament to the effectiveness of their approach.
It is. It shows how this multifaceted approach can really make a difference in the real world.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that effective communication for non-native English speakers in leadership roles goes far beyond just vocabulary and grammar.
Yeah.
It requires a much more holistic strategy that encompasses cultural understanding, strong communication skills, and the ability to connect authentically.
Right. It's about bridging that gap between technical proficiency and genuine fluency.
Exactly. And enabling individuals to express themselves with the same nuance and impact they would in their native language.
And reflecting on what initially drew you to this material,
Yeah.
you were really seeking a deeper understanding of these challenges and the potential solutions.
Right.
I think Miticom's approach really sheds light on those issues.
It definitely does. It highlights just how complex and multifaceted effective communication really is.
Absolutely. It's not just about the words themselves, but how we use them, the context, and the intention behind them.
Exactly. So here's something for you to ponder as we finish up.
Okay.
Given how interconnected our world is becoming, how might mastering the art of communication in a second language like English not only elevate your own career,
Right.
but also have a ripple effect on your entire organization?
Yeah.
It's about more than just personal achievement, isn't it?
It is.
It has the potential to really transform how businesses operate on a global scale.
It really does.
Food for thought.
Definitely.
Thanks for sending in this material.
You bet.
Until next time.
See you then.